Welcome to the Overgivers Anonymous podcast. My name is Angela Mondor, also known as the Geeky Girl. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about some amazing things to help you get over overgiving. And welcome to this episode of the Overgivers Anonymous podcast. My name is Angela Mondor, and I'm your host. We are going to be talking about navigating market changes, adapting your business strategy as this happens. This is important. You want to be flexible, you want to be agile, you want to be able to pivot. But when is it that makes sense? Sometimes we think, I need to pivot, and we pivot so many times that we're not actually sticking with something long enough to actually see it through. There's a difference between pivoting and avoiding. There's some things to talk about here. It's quick and easy to make a change, especially with neurodiverse spiciness we got going on in our brains. Sometimes it's easier just to go, change. But actually looking at, does that change make sense for us? So it is important to be dynamic. Our businesses are dynamic. Things change, markets change. The way that the market evolves is important to pay attention to. And we do need to adapt to those things. But sometimes it's important to look and see whether or not we're changing the right things inside our businesses. Without monitoring what's happening, you're not really going to be able to tell whether or not it makes sense to make these changes. So one of the things we need to monitor is not only the market trends and what the market is showing us, but it's also important to monitor what's happening inside our own businesses. So what is consumer behavior? That's important. What's changing in terms of the market? That's important. But it's also important for you to be monitoring what you're doing from an action perspective inside your business to determine whether or not a pivot makes sense. We do that a lot in the Rockstar Success Circle to be able to see whether or not the changes we're making or the actions we're taking are actually working towards what we're doing. And does that pivot make sense? Because it is important to be flexible and agile, and making decisions on the fly sometimes can be really important. And it is important, but it can be stressful. And sometimes we can make changes too quickly. Even though it's important to make quick decisions, sometimes you don't take the time to kind of zoom out, do that 30,000 foot. Okay, hold on a second. Does this make sense? You do want to be able to be agile enough to shift as the market shifts, but it's important for you to look at this and say, do I need to completely change the goal, or do I just need to change the actions I'm taking in order for the goal to be accomplished? Because the goal is just the direction you're heading. The actions are the steps that you're taking in order to reach that goal. The goal might not be garbage, but the way you're doing it might need to be changed. So you keep the goal static. So that's what you hear when people say, I've made a goal, I'm not changing the goal. The goal is the goal. And you might think, well, why aren't you changing your goal? It doesn't make sense. The goal can still be the goal, but you change the way you get there. Okay. So if you're on a road trip and you're going from Michigan to California, you can choose to drive straight. Oh, now I got to do maps. You can drive straight west over to, the far West Coast and go straight down from there to California, or you can choose to go straight south and then go west, or you can take a diagonal that's sort of like a southwesterly direction through. There's lots of different ways to get to California. You just have to choose which way. And just because you decide to go straight west first doesn't mean to say you can't deviate and say, you know what, I'm going to go south here, but then go west again. So that's the goal is still to get from one place to another, but how you get there can be changed. Okay. So being flexible and agile in how you get there is really important. You do want to be customer-centric. You do want to make sure that the choices that you're making are in the best interest of your clients, or in the best interest of attracting the right clients. You definitely want to gather their feedback, whether that's by conducting surveys or having feedback from clients in their recommendations, those kinds of things. It's important to listen to them, what's happening. And of course, innovation and diversification happens as the market changes and as your product changes and what other people are offering. All of these are different pieces that are important to put inside this decision capsule as to how you're going to do it. But when you are planning for the year, you want to make sure that you are strategically planning for resilience. So don't plan yourself into a corner, right? Don't paint so close and so that you're backed yourself right into a corner. You want to make sure that you plan that yearly plan out so that there is room for some movement in there. You want that resilience in there to make sure that you have something that you can work towards, but you aren't painting yourself into such a corner that you changed your business in a direction you didn't want to go to in the first place. And that's why it's important to revisit often, right? So you create that yearly goal, come in and check it in your quarterlies, come in and check it every time when you do a monthly one. We do those in our Success Circle strategic planning workshops every single time, making sure we're on point. Are we moving in the right direction? Does this still feel good? Are these goals still within reach? Are they still where we want to head? Has anything changed? So in order to thrive in a changing market, it is important for you to be able to adapt to the marketplace, to listen to what is happening. What are your clients saying? What are the other people in the industry saying about what's happening? How can you pivot? Maybe not the goal itself, but the actions you're taking to make the goal occur. And then having the support and the structure to be able to help you to be able to make those decisions along the way. And one of those things is to join the Rockstar Success Circle so that you can have a group to support you in that. Otherwise, find another way of getting the support you need. Surround yourself with entrepreneurs who are positive and amazing and who have your back at all costs, and that will help you to navigate all of these crazy things so that you're not pivoting away from where you want to go, but you're pivoting in a direction that's going to help you get to that goal, just in a different way. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Bye now.
Thank you so much for listening.